If you want to learn what are the main principles for AI governance, then this video is for you. So I'll explain why is this trustworthiness the main goal for AI governance, and I'll also present you these 11 objectives for AI governance that you can also use as some kind of principles for actually building your AI systems. And I'll also show you where you can find a free course that will teach you about AI governance. So after you watch this video, you'll have a clear idea on what are the main guiding principles when building your AI systems and AI governance. Now, if you work in cybersecurity governance, then these principles are basically easy. Then you know that there is this concept of protection of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, the so-called CIA triad. So these are the most important things that you want to achieve with cybersecurity. But with AI governance, things are not as clear or not as simple. And this is why I typically like to display this trustworthiness as the top level goal that needs to be achieved with AI governance, and then these 11 objectives or principles on actually how you build these AI systems. So what is this trustworthiness? So basically this is when stakeholders that are using AI systems can understand whether these systems actually meet their expectations. So for example, in my job, I'm using very often AI to actually search through various regulations or standards. And then what I want from these AI systems to give me exactly the interpretation of a particular clause of a standard or article in a regulation with the exact requirements, the exact article number or clause number. And if these answers are correct, not only once, but let's say 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, then I will start to trust these systems. And unfortunately, these general AI chatbots are still not on that level. I still have to manually check if they're giving me the right answer. But they're getting there. I mean, they're getting better and better. Now, why is this trustworthiness important? Because when you take a look at any kind of a survey where it asks actually why companies are not implementing AI systems more, the top answer is always that there is a lack of trust. So until this major problem, lack of trust, is resolved, the companies will not implement AI systems in a larger measure. Now, instead of this trustworthiness, you could often hear that the general goals for AI systems are safe, responsible, and ethical AI. And for example, there is this AI standard called ISO 22989. It also suggests reliability, resilience, controllability, predictability, and so on. But when you think about it, all of these things that I mentioned can actually come down under this trustworthiness. So all of these concepts are kind of various aspects of trustworthiness. And this is why I personally like to actually emphasize this trustworthiness as this top level goal for AI systems. Now, how do you achieve this trustworthiness? You can actually do it by following these 11 objectives that are suggested by ISO 42001, the AI governance standard, because these objectives give you basically the principles or guidelines on how you have to build your AI systems. And the first objective is accountability. And this basically means that you can actually trace various decisions or outputs or actions to a certain system, and that you can actually trace its logic. The next one is AI expertise. And this basically means that you employ a set of experts with specific skills that actually develop and deploy AI systems, but also assess whether it's accurate. The next one is availability and quality of training and testing data. This means that you actually have to train your AI systems with the right data that has the right quality, so that the outputs from these AI systems are as expected. The next objective is environmental impact, because as you use these AI systems, this is called AI inference, but especially when you train your AI systems, a large amount of computing resources are needed, which means that a large amount of energy is needed, which is not very environmental friendly. So all of these things you have to keep in mind when you actually build your AI systems. The next objective is fairness. This means that you need to make sure that you avoid bias in your AI systems, meaning that you're not treating certain groups of people unfairly. So for example, if you're using AI systems for hiring, you have to make sure that, for example, it does not prefer men over women. The next objective is maintainability, which basically means the ability of companies that are running these AI systems to actually improve them, to change them, and basically ensure that they meet some new requirements, for example, some new security or privacy requirements. And the next objective is privacy itself. So you have to make sure that this personal data that is stored within these AI systems, especially if they are sensitive, like health data or similar, that they do not leak to someone else. The next objective is robustness, and this basically means that the AI system will perform correctly, even though it is used in various circumstances under, let's say, stress, so to say. So you might try to input some wrong data or misleading information, and even though that you're doing this, the outputs should still be correct. And this is basically what robustness is about. The next objective is safety. And this basically means that AI systems need to make sure that human life and health and property are not in danger. And then the next objective is security, meaning that AI systems must be able to avoid data poisoning, or that they are used for some kind of attacks, or that data is leaked to unauthorized third parties. And the last objective is transparency and explainability. And this basically means that you can explain how an AI system has reached certain decisions, or how it actually made a certain action. So you have to be able to actually trace this particular action or decision back to the training data, and also to the logic on how AI systems were using this data to reach this particular output. Okay, I know that all of these things that I mentioned, all of these objectives and principles and these top-level goals are really a lot, but if you use a standard like ISO 42001 that I mentioned, it actually puts all of these things in a meaningful framework. It basically explains, how you start from these top-level objectives, and then how you actually do a risk assessment where you find out what potential problems could happen, how you introduce all of these controls, how you measure how these controls are performing, and so on and so forth. So my point here is that even though this sounds very complex, actually it's doable if you follow a certain framework like 42001. And I'll show you now a free course where you can learn the basics of this standard. Okay, I'm showing you now this ISO 42001 Foundations course from Advisera. Here you can find some general information about the course, but here you can actually sign up for this course for free. You can go through all the lessons without any payment, and you would have to pay only if you want to go for the certification exam. Now let's see the curriculum, so list of lessons. So in this module 1 you actually have several lessons that are general about 42001. So for example, this one is about these general objectives. So here you have a bit more explanation about these objectives, then about the implementation of the standard and so on, and then some basic terminology, machine learning, neural networks, AI system lifecycle, these kind of things. In module 2 you will see that the course starts to explain each and every clause from the standard. So basically how you define the scope, how you define the top level policy, roles and responsibilities, and so on. The whole module 3 is really about risk management, so assessing risks and defining which controls need to be implemented, and also setting more detailed objectives here. And then clause 4 is about the implementation, clause 5 is about monitoring and reviewing the performance of the controls. And then module 6 is all about controls. So there are 38 controls, and this module explains each and every of these controls. And basically these controls are organized in these sections, which you can see here. So for example, there is a whole section about training data, right? And then basically here the course explains all the controls that are related to training data, also AI system lifecycle, so basically which controls you have to actually apply in different lifecycle stage of a particular system, and so on. Okay, hope this was helpful, and let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about these objectives and top-level goals for AI governance, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And to access this ISO 42001 Foundations course that I was showing you, click this link in the description below, and you'll be able to open this free student account where you can actually go through all of these training videos, and you would have to pay only if you want to go for the certification exam. And see also my next video which explains what are the details, what are the elements of this AI governance and how to set it up. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel not to miss any of my new videos, and I publish videos about AI governance and cybersecurity governance every week. Thanks for watching.